of accepting the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Audience to visitors. Do we have some comments from visitors?
Yep. You can come up here if you like.
Yeah, if you come here, they can hear you on the,
Sure.
that's the speaker.
Perfect. Well, my name is Molly Bond. I'm a field representative for Congressman Derek Van Orden. So I was at the last county board meeting. So I am his new field representative for this county. Mary Carney, who worked here before in this county, has been promoted in our office to director of operations. So just wanted to introduce myself to the committee. I know our office, economic development, is crucial to every county and community, and supporting you as a county, businesses, the best to our ability as we can on the federal level. We do have a grants coordinator on staff who can search federal grants for you guys, for individuals, and then we also do write letters of supports for grants as well. So if there's big projects, please let us know about that and see if we can assist with that. So perfect. Yeah, if there's any questions, please let me know and I'll try.
Do you have cards for us?
Yes, I can grab cards and give it to everyone.
Sounds good.
And you know Amy, the grant would.
We just met, so there you go. I'll make sure she gets it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to have comments? No? Okay, review the voucher payment summary.
Yeah, so I emailed out or included in your packet the voucher payment summary. Total vouchers paid in February, $30,128.84. One of the bigger items was the $25,000. That was the final installment payment to Place Dynamics for the economic development strategy. Everything else is pretty standard.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I appreciate that, but we don't need that motion. It's just for your review. That's a new process. But if you do have questions, make sure you ask them, please. Okay. Next, Mississippi River Trail Plan presentation. And I think Francis was up here. No, Francis.
Yeah, Francis is on his way. He's here. I'm Sherry Kwame, and I feel like this is a wonderful committee that I meet with at least once a year, and now I have the honor of meeting with you twice. I chair the Wisconsin-Mississippi River Parkway Commission, and our major project this year and last year and the year before is orchestrating the Mississippi River Bicycle Trail designation. We are blessed to have Francis Shelfhout, who is the bike pedestrian coordinator from the La Crosse office and a leader through WISDOT for the entire state. He's leading this. He's also the chair of our technical committee. So Francis is going to cover the detail of this and the ask. I will just also have the pleasure of introducing a man that you all know, Lee Narrison, who is your appointee to the Mississippi River Parkway Commission from Vernon County. And we're honored to have him on our commission as well. The last thing I'll say is that the 2024 Wisconsin Great River Road Travel and Visitor Guides should be off the press this Friday. I want you to know your ad is the grand champion. The inspiration for that, the beauty of that, the simplicity of that has caught the eye of so many people, and I'm excited to have you see it as well when these are ready. So we'll get you your supply. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sherry?
Yes.
Are you going to say anything about pollinators or?
Not right now.
Okay,
Karen,
that's
you
fine.
can do that.
No, it's okay.
Since our agenda item is the bicycle trail today.
Gotcha.
But thank you for having me today and the Parkway Commission. As Sherry introduced right turn directions, which in Vernon County, actually, there is no turns. It's the proposed route is along the Great River Road the whole way, using the shoulder. And then there's a map. The second packet of resolutions is actually the signed resolutions that we've already been able to attain from 4 of the 5 other municipalities within Vernon County. The only one that we're still missing is town of town of Bergen. And we'll be meeting with them next week, Monday, the 11th. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to attain that one also at that point. So then we talk about these resolutions. The Vernon County one is kind of the umbrella one. We want to get one from all the municipalities before we get a final one from you guys. But ultimately, we're almost there. So I guess I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that progress.
You got the existing road and the approved road, very similar. Are they the exact same, but just separated because it showed distinct colors?
Correct. Yep. They're exactly the same route. Yep.
That's the shoulder the whole way.
Correct. Yep.
How much space is the shoulder?
So the shoulder varies, and I say that this way. Some shoulders have 3 foot of pavement and then 3 foot of gravel. Some have pavement all the way to the face of the beam guard. It varies from one section to the next, but that's a great question. And I'm going to kind of cover what this does for you with regards to that shoulder width.
So I mean, some of those places, it looks like it'd be pretty tough to.
Yeah.
Correct.
Dangerous.
Yep. And so that's part of what we'll talk about is that getting the goal. Okay, so we'll get to the goal here in the presentation. Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I'm glad you're asking because ultimately it validates what we've got in our presentation because it's the questions we continue to hear over and over again. So this is a cooperative effort. The Department of Transportation, just because the majority of it is on the Great Road and that's our roadway by jurisdiction, that's why it's our duty to lead this effort a little bit. But ultimately, the Parkway Commission has really taken the major lead, and I'm just here to be a liaison for the department. The Regional Planning Commission is also taking part in this, and so is DNR. So they're actively participating in the route selections and the alternate routes as we're considering those in other communities primarily because there's not a lot of options in Vernon County. We're as close to the river as we can get. Mm-hmm. It's a through route, that type of a deal.
And you're pinched by the railroad too.
Correct.
It's not going to let you do anything.
Yep. So the Mississippi River Trail it's 3,000 miles in length. Our goal at the national level, the 10 state level, is to make this a U.S. bike route. So that's the grander plan. And I'm working with that 10 state organization and all of my other state representatives to work towards that 10 state U.S. bike route. 3,000 miles, Minnesota, Louisiana, both sides of the river. 10 states, 8 of the states actually have the route signed already. Okay. 2 states don't. Wisconsin happens to be one of them. So we're behind. Okay. So we're playing catch up. Approximately 250 miles of it are in the state of Wisconsin.
You said it's on both sides, or that's not always going to be on both sides?
On the river?
Yeah.
Yes, both sides, all states, all 10 of them that border the Mississippi River are going to have a route on both sides. And like I said, they all have it designated. 2 of us don't have it signed. Okay. We don't have formal designation. We'll talk about that here in about 2 seconds. So our goal, formal designation of the MRT through all 8 counties in the state of Wisconsin, and then ultimately signage of that route once we've attained formal designation through those 8 counties. Benefits to the communities. Obviously, if we can get people out biking, walking, or actively participating outdoors, it's a health benefit. But ultimately, the economic benefit of raising this route to a U.S. state and then a U.S. bike route is the biggest bang. So what we're looking at from you guys is to confirm that this route is the best route through the municipality, through your county. And in this case, like I said, we've got the resolutions from the other communities outside of Bergen that agree that this is the best route through their communities. So hopefully that trickles up to you guys. Ultimately, we're looking for a formal resolution. The reason why we're looking for a resolution is to attain U.S. bike route status. AASHTO, American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials, and Adventure Cycling, who's the private sponsor of U.S. bike routes, require a resolution for every municipality that the route runs through. It has nothing to do with roadway jurisdiction. It has to do with we're passing through your municipal limits. And so if that route passes through your municipal limits, they require a resolution from every community that it runs through.
What if a community doesn't do it?
We have to bypass them. Now that in this case, because of proximity and stuff like that, if Vernon County weren't to give us that, we'd be skirting the southern La Crosse boundary and then down, you know, it would be an astronomical and detrimental
Yeah, because
action, but
it's 70 miles wide,
right. Yep. So you're talking, you
70
know,
miles out of the way,
yeah, well, double
or double.
because you're back and forth.
Maybe it's good workout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd be the day trip. Start when you get on it.
So we want to confirm that route with you guys today and then work towards that formal resolution to support that bigger effort, that US bike road status.
Now, in county designation, like town, like Stoddard, DeSoto and all them, they don't have any jurisdiction over the county in those situations?
No, again, it has nothing to do with roadway jurisdiction. It has only to do with their passing through their municipal limits. So we've got one from town of Wheatland, we've got one from town of Genoa, we've got one from village of Genoa, and we've got one from village of Stoddard so far. And then we'll get town of Bergen, hopefully, on Monday. But that's those, and that would be in time to then meet with the county board in a couple of weeks, I think, is the board meeting.
What would be the reason that Virgin would not do this or any of these municipalities?
It probably goes back to your question. I mean, there's this feeling of liability and safety, and some of those things has generally been the biggest concern that's been expressed, and has been the holdup for some. Ultimately, the state of Wisconsin has state statute that protects everybody, because ultimately a bicyclist is a vehicle by definition within state statute. So they are no more protected or liable than a vehicle driver. And so they're required to not make, what do they call it? Non-predictive actions and those, erratic, I think is the word that they use, but they're not allowed to do that any more than a vehicle driver.
So if I would assume that there's going to be, for everybody that's enrolled or approves this, the people that are actually making this bike trail are going to be the DOT, or is it going to be the trail itself is going to be making this trail and setting up the signs and designations and crossings? That's going to be done by
We're coordinating that. Yep.
And then,
on behalf of the Parkway Commission.
Right. And the Parkway Commission in this area would be paying for that? Or who does the work to pay for it?
I've got all the FAQs. We should just go to the FAQ slide and go there. No, I'm kidding. And I'm joking, but you're exactly right. Who's paying for the signs? That's the next biggest concern that we've heard over and over again.
Well, the thing is, Wayne, if this is going to be something for the state of Wisconsin, is there going to be federal state money to put this trail in? I mean, is that what we're doing?
So the trail is a route. Okay. So it uses the term trail in the naming convention, but it is nothing more than a route. So is it going to be a separated facility? No. Is it going to pay for widening of a roadway to widen the shoulders? No. But what it will do is, as the bicycle and pedestrian coordinator for the department, when we scope a project, so for instance, we're doing through Ferryville and down to Lynxville, because of the potential of this being a US bike route in the future, I was able to facilitate widening the paved portion of the shoulder. Okay. So in those portions, I think, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was less than 3 feet or slightly less than 3 feet.
Sometimes 8 inches.
So we're going to have 5 feet minimum paved shoulder width with that project, which will provide a wider operating space for those bicyclists as they're operating the shoulder. Now, is it super comfortable if you're squeezed between a beam guard and a travel lane? It's not. But if you're thinking about the people that are traveling it from a touring perspective, they're a different class of bicyclist. They just are. They're comfortable in that situation, or they're okay with it. Maybe is the better way to put it, right? Okay, so that kind of is the payment of the signs. We'll talk about that and how we're planning on getting that funded.
But that's going to be on both sides of the road too.
The signage.
Well, yeah. Well, the trail is going to be on both sides.
Correct. You'll be just like a vehicle. You'll be northbound.
Well, technically speaking, they don't have to be on the trail because we're supposed to allow them 2 feet on the main road.
Again, the trail is the road.
I get that the trail is the road, but okay, you got your fog line.
Yep.
They can be 2 or 3 feet off the fog line into the lane of traffic.
Right.
Correct. By statute, a bicyclist is a vehicle.
Is that smart for them? No, but that's where I'm saying that's where the issue comes in. You may have a designated road, but you only have 8 inches, but that means they can take up to 3 feet of the main road right there when they're driving on it.
Correct.
When they're bicycling on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. The next couple of slides are just statistical pieces about the increase in bicycling, both in the US, in the state, and then ultimately outdoor recreation, which is a close partner or sister to bicycling, because a lot of it has to do with mountain fat tire and mountain biking and other elements of outdoor recreation that cross-pollinate to road biking. It's funny you mentioned the pollinator effort, because ultimately the Great River Road and the Mississippi River Parkway Commission has been working diligently on other efforts that basically create this synergy and this cross-marketing that makes it the destination for everybody. They reached All-American Road status, which is the highest level of scenic byway, back in 2021, and have garnered multiple GEM grants and marketing grants because of that designation as the highest level of scenic byway. They've also, with their counter commissioner out of the La Crosse office, Raj Schnick, launched the largest corridor of pollinator effort along the Great River Road. And also we've got partnerships with the Wisconsin DNR to do pollinator planting. Specifically, one that's close is Town of Shelby is building a separated path from County GI and Goose Island north into the city of La Crosse with our project, our roadway project of Highway 35. And we're going to use pollinator seed mixes for that entire grading section to try and enhance that corridor. So those are just some other efforts that basically, like I said, create this, hey, bike the Great River Road, and, you know, through this section of 3 miles, you can see all these pollinator habitat and so on and so forth. Some more statistics on the next slide. I want to talk about the route designation process on the next slide here. We talk about existing conditions. So you pointed out that the map shows an existing route and then a proposed or an approved route, and they're side by side. Where did the existing route come from? If you Google Mississippi River Trail, Wisconsin, you're going to find a map. Now, I'm not saying believe everything that's on the internet, but because it's on the internet, we have to acknowledge that it's there. And that people ultimately, if they were Googling it, they might follow that route, right? So that's what we mapped as the existing route, because it's the only thing that we can find. And it's the only place that has something in writing that's less than a paper napkin. So that's where we started with existing conditions. Then we have a Mississippi River Trail work group, and we looked at different routes, parallel routes, closer to the river, different things. We used different criteria, which is 2 slides ahead, and we'll talk about what that is, to then come with you guys with alternatives. In this case here, we're coming with nothing, because ultimately the Great Road is as close as it gets to the river. Any other road that's parallel and closer to the river actually dead ends. So there was, you know, we don't want to send them on a dead end road to have to come back out. So, we want to identify that local route based on your guys' local knowledge, work towards that local resolution, which works towards that formal designation. Again, that's that formal designation piece. Once we get that formal designation, we'll have state-sponsored signage. We'll talk about that in greater detail here at the end. And then after that, there is an opportunity for outreach to local businesses for destination signage. That would be a pay-to-play type thing, similar to the blue signs on the interstate, where, you know, a business puts something out there, says, hey, get off at this exit. This would be similar type stuff. Those would be restricted to signing restrictions based along the highway, but there may be opportunities for those, and we would have to deal with that on a case-by-case basis.
They're ugly. I mean, billboards and.
Yeah. No, we're looking for something smaller, just like smaller destination type signs. Yep. This next slide, it says Genoa. This is the, and the slide after that, which says Linksville. Those are the 2 from that map. If you were to Google Mississippi River Trail, Wisconsin, those are the existing maps, the descriptions that they have. Talks about, you know, grades coming in and out and stuff like that. Talks about the high traffic volume, some of the things that you guys expressed concerns about. And so that would be part of what we would output is provide them, hey, you're just on the shoulder of a road. Traffic is, you know, 5,000 or 6,000 cars a day. They're traveling at speeds of 55 miles, posted speeds of 55 miles per hour. The next slide talks about the criteria that we used. Criteria number 1, because this is the Mississippi River Trail, is based upon proximity to the river. We wanted to get as close to the river as we possibly could. Second priority was access to destinations. This is where that economic development piece comes in, right? We want to make sure that we're getting them next to or close to any amenities, food, restrooms, lodging, campgrounds, museums, parks, so on and so forth, right? Access to destinations. DNR was a key part in that, looking even for boat launches or other trails, those types of things. Minimum vehicle volumes and speeds are the next two. I would say that they're they're interchangeable by order, because ultimately the less vehicles we can get to or the less speed we can get to, obviously it makes it more comfortable for people to travel. Complementary or separated bicycle pedestrian facilities is always important. So like I mentioned, that trail by Goose from Goose Island North, we'll be routing them on that separated multi-use path, because it's a facility that creates even more safety and more comfort for those other users that maybe aren't that Class A bicyclist that's used to touring, right? And then distance off the direct route. We talked about dead ends. Those were a non-starter, but ultimately some of those routes that might get you close to the river, but would take you a mile out of your way. Now you're weighing destinations and detour versus the direct route and maybe more traffic. So, you're kind of weighing all these things. So it's not a straight line. Route surfaced, gravel and paved. We consider that up in off the Great River State Trail in La Crosse County and in Trempealeau County. And then bicycle condition maps were also considered. For your specific Vernon County, I gave a couple of cutouts here just to kind of show you where we're at. The primary one that I would point out is in the village of DeSoto, or not Genoa, sorry, Genoa. We did consider hopping up on Main Street, but because of visual proximity, if somebody was destined to pass through there, they could still see the destinations, or it was close proximity where we didn't want to detour them up, especially with the grades going up and down off of their Main Street. It wasn't worth the pros and cons. And they were in agreement that that was a good decision. So that was one of the things that alternative wise, we did consider that in the village of Genoa. So the next slide is the resolution. This is the core one that doesn't have anything specific. Like I said, I gave you guys the one that has the Vernon County stuff in blue. The next slide is our timeline. So this is where I kind of get to hit some of the pieces that Sherry mentioned about the sign installation and those costs. So we've been at this about 24 months, maybe a little bit more than that now. We've gotten all the resolutions from Buffalo County and all the municipalities within Buffalo County, Trempealeau County, Crawford County, we have all but one. Grant County, we have all but one. Vernon County, ultimately just town of Bergen, and then Vernon County, so we're only missing two there. And I think based upon our last meet, I met with some two communities within La Crosse County. I think we're only missing three left now in La Crosse County. Or that they're planning to be signed, because there's kind of, you guys were going to give endorsement to the resolution to the county board. We've already got that in one of the communities, so I'm expecting that to happen through that process. 64 municipalities, 8 counties. That's 72 of these types of meetings that I'm going to, maybe multiples. That's why it's taken so long. It's not because we're not trying. But it has taken time, because ultimately you meet with one municipality and everybody meets on the second or third Tuesdays or Wednesday of the month. So you get double booked, and then it just gets pushed off. And so I'm also a head baseball coach. And so once baseball season starts, I can't go to them night meetings because I'm busy. But that said, our goal is to have this completed by March or April of 2025. The reason for that is to meet the legislative budget cycle, because our legislators, we have 4 of them on the Parkway Commission, 2 senators, 2 legislators that have endorsed the funding, actually had legislation written this last budget cycle. We just weren't far enough along that they were sure that we would spend the money in that biennial budget. And so they pulled it. But ultimately, they had the funding in there to address your concern about the signage. They've got the funding in there to sign that. They're using the Frank Lloyd Wright Trail, which was funded across the state to the south through Spring Green and through that area. They're using the exact same legislation to fund this. The same format, same process.
Could I ask who the people are on the legislators that are on your committee, or?
Yes. So we have Representative
Jill Billings.
Jill Billings.
Representative Lauren Oldenburg. We have Senator Jeff Smith and Senator Howard Markline.
Okay.
They were appointed by their respective caucus in the Senate and the Senate.
Okay.
And you'll notice that we're bipartisan by choice of those, by those designations, and we've got bipartisan support for it. So,
Yeah, the chair of the Ways and Means Committee.
Yeah. So again, kind of hoping for that deadline of March, April of 2025. Once that would happen, the legislative action would occur. And so I'm hopeful that then we'd be doing sign installation in 2026. Although if we have a winter like this, we could be installing them in winter of 2025. The next slide just covers what the route signage is intended. So the legislative action would be to fund this type of signage. On the far left is for my counterpart in Minneapolis. This would be a separated bicycle facility. So like up on that trail that's by Goose Island, it would be just a separate trail sign, right? There's no highway sign associated with it. The one in the middle is actually from my counterpart in Missouri, which would be more like your sign installations where the Great River Road and the Mississippi River Trail share the same route. So that would be similar to what you'd see through Vernon County. And then the far right sign is just the new US bike route template. It's a little bit different than what used to be the US bike route template. But ultimately, I say at 55 miles an hour, if I interchanged them, you probably wouldn't notice it because they're just that similar nature. They have that acorn shape. And then we put MRT down where it says 79. Okay. The destination signage would be, this is an example. And again, just an example, you're worried about a billboard sign type size. This is an example that they're using up in Minneapolis. Something small, something that just says, hey, half mile off the road, here's, bread and breakfast or, whatever, that type of a deal. So that type of a thing. And again, those would be subject to signage restrictions along the highway. But we would be working with you in those opportunities. So the FAQs, to get to your main questions, resolution versus letter of support. Resolution is needed for US bike roads. So that's where we're going after resolutions versus letter of support. Second one, sign installation and maintenance costs. The legislators wrote the most recent legislation to pay for and install the initial installation. Okay. They did not write in a clause for maintenance. That said, through our communications with Grant County primarily, but some of the smaller municipalities that the route is designated on their routes, is that they don't want to be stuck with the maintenance costs down the road. The legislators have heard us. They said that they would write that maintenance clause in the next go around. I can't show somebody in writing because I don't have that example, but I could give you the legislation that they drafted and then pulled because we weren't ready. Which shows the purchase and installation. But they've vowed to write in the maintenance also. Although we all are taxpayers, the fact of the matter is that whether they're paying for it or whether it's coming out of the county coffers, we're all paying for it one way or another. The cost for the signs range from $250 to $350 per sign installation. And ultimately it comes down to arrows combined with the sign itself versus a route reassurance sign. If you're traveling on a route for, 10 miles, you just want a sign to say, hey, you're still on the right foot, you're still right, that type of a deal. So route reassurance sign is the $250 installation. The one that has turn here and those types of things would be the $350 installation. That includes posts. If the post outlasts the sign, which is generally the case, and you just have to replace the signs, obviously the replacement costs, maintenance costs go down. Signs in general, if not damaged, are expected to last 10 to 15 years. And that's based on reflectivity and so on and so forth. Contact information's on the back. Sherry mentioned she's the chair. That's why she's at the top. I'm at the bottom because I am the peon in this case here. So that's why I'm at the bottom. But I'm here to answer questions and address any concerns you guys may have.
Anyone have questions?
I just want to, not a non sequitur, but Rod and I did the state fair one year.
Okay.
And the two things that people most came up, bicycling and fly fishing. Those are the two big things that people came and we inquired about. Am I right?
Always
You've been trained well.
Yeah. You want to eat?
I think we're going to have to divide this group up.
We never had these problems.
Thank you for this information. Online, Tom or Katie, any questions?
I do just have one question. For the other places where this has been installed already, obviously safety is a concern and I fully support this because I think economically it's fantastic. But other locations where they've had this, has there been any safety issues of any kind that you can talk on?
So safety is also an element of awareness is the best way to put it. So if you have MRT and it's a US bike route and it carries those signs, that alone is going to heighten the awareness of the vehicle driver that they should expect bicyclists. That said, the more bicyclists we have on a route, the more aware, that's the next level of awareness, right? And I like to use the example. I've traveled to Washington, D.C. a couple times, and you come to one of those crosswalks, and I'm going to use pedestrians as an example, but ultimately, you get to one of those crosswalks, and there's 25 people queued up at this crosswalk waiting for the walk sign. Well, the potential for a pedestrian getting hit when we're walking in droves of 25 clustered at a corner is by far less than that single person that now the vehicles are used to not seeing anybody, and there might be a yellow light and they're blowing through it or that type of thing. And so I would argue that the signage, along with just use and presence, is your two biggest safety elements. And I'll go back to the same argument that ultimately I can, as the bicycle and pedestrian corridor, we scope a project. And we have the next project coming up will be from, the Vernon County line south to the north limits of Stoddard where that project ended, and those types of spots, if we have a US bike route status on that route, it gives me the easy argument, I say, to at least widen the paved portion of the shoulder. So again, if there's a portion that's still gravel, it makes it really easy for me to mark it to let's pave either the full width or all but 1 foot is generally where we aim for, because the gravel gives us an ability to fix, hold up that edge of that asphalt versus otherwise the asphalt tends to ravel off, which is why we end up leaving with that 1 foot of shoulder and turf. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
I have one more. Are you going to put those icons on the bicycle on the pavement?
No.
Okay.
So
drivers will not see anything except those tiny little signs that you speed past.
So the signs will be highway size signs. So they will be as big as any other. So that example of that signage that I gave you, the one in the middle for Missouri, those are roadway size signs, and they're the exact same size. Okay. So I think they're 24 by 36. They're big, because ultimately we have to atone for that vehicle driving at 55 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Versus now, if we're on the Great River State Trail, which is a separated facility, they will be bicycle route only size signs. And I want to say those are 1 foot by 18 inches or something to that effect. I don't remember what size it is, but they're smaller because ultimately we don't want, even a bicyclist needs to be able to read it at traveling speed without being, and then all of a sudden they're in the ditch, right? So we gotta make sure that that's appropriate. What was there was another part of the question.
I was just how will drivers driving 55 miles an hour?
You had asked about the paint marking on the, and I wanted to address that. We cannot paint bicycle signs on the shoulder because what that does is it designates it as bicycle only. And ultimately the shoulder still has to be able to be used for disabled vehicles and other pieces. And so those on pavement, and it becomes a maintenance issue. Those things are expensive to maintain. It's not running a striper down the road. It's stencil guys out there with, I exaggerate, spray cans, but yes. So, yep.
Some things make sense and other things don't. Okay, now for our next item that was not on the agenda is this resolution. How soon do you need that to be done? Is it all right if we do this in April or do you need it done in March?
I have to, if I may, okay, my apologies to everyone. I did not make this an action item. So the committee we would like to learn like what is the timeline? So we need to have this to be actionable to formally pass it on to the March board meeting. So if it can wait until April, like that is something that this committee could take on at their next regularly scheduled meeting and push this on formally. Or the meeting, if it has to happen sooner, the committee might need to discuss a special meeting, quick, just to pass this on.
So we have a special meeting as we close this meeting, open up for a special meeting, or do we have to advertise?
That's a public notice.
And is that, do we have enough time before the county board meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, 2 weeks.
Webinar.
I, like I said, my goal is March of 2025. So there is no urgency. Okay.
Good.
Again, you guys are the umbrella for everything else in Vernon County.
So you have.
So if you need to do it, if you need to wait until April, I don't want anybody to take special time.
Okay.
There's no reason.
Yeah. That's, yeah. That's great.
There's no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess the only thing that I would ask then is then, just, I guess, let me know, if you can just, Amy, you can just send me a schedule of what you would anticipate it to be then, moving forward. And then we can come and attend to be there to answer questions. We can present again, whatever you guys want or need at each of these pieces, we're there.
At the board meeting, is that what you're
Yes, or whatever steps need to occur. Because some, like Grand County, they ran it through their highway safety, their safety committee too. So each county is different. Whatever steps you guys need to do to get through those, you just let us know and we'll be there.
Okay.
So
it's not that big. We can we'll put it on our April agenda to formally adopt.
Okay.
I think if we had passed a resolution, I don't see anybody against it here. I bet the board would just rubber stamp it. I take. Be there, Francis, for questions, but I don't see any. That's a great win-win. So
Other than the safety questions, there may be some safety.
I think it's like, and how much does it cost us?
Those are things. Yep.
Yeah.
All of them, what you put down there, it's got the width there anyway, so it's just a matter of signage.
it's not costing us a penny.
Not direct money. It's not costing.
But that's all they.
That's all. I hear you. I understand, but I remember if I didn't acknowledge it, it is still taxpayer money one way or the other.
Yes, it is.
There's no free money. You're right.
Any additional questions, anyone?
That is true.
Thank you, Francis.
You wouldn't need me to attend your April meeting then? I'm assuming that you guys would endorse this at that point.
Yes. No, we'll be fine.
Okay, and then, but I'll plan on attending the county board meeting then. So if you can just give me those dates, times.
That's April 16th for reorganization, so it will be probably a longer meeting, just so you know that.
That's fine.
It could potentially be May. I don't, Cassie, if you want to.
Looking at that because no one can give me a straight answer as far as how the annual board meeting works in an election year. Other than that, we have to hold our reorganizational meeting. So
it could be.
So it may be May, but we'll.
It would be okay then to be in May.
Is that a big meeting?
Yeah, they're all. Yeah.
You don't do a night
No night
meeting.
meeting.
No baseball game conflict meeting.
No. Well, sure.
Awesome.
So it may be me.
We're on the agenda for the board meeting now on the 21st, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I guess I don't know if we were formally on yet, Lee, or if it was based upon the action based upon today. So, yes, I had presumptively anticipated you guys to act today, and that's my fault.
It's not, that was the intent. My mistake not making this actionable. So I apologize.
So no big deal, but I don't think we're formally, and so I guess that's the week we probably have to close to, is to make sure we're not on that agenda, unless they want us to introduce, which is fine too.
Okay.
If they wanted us to introduce separately in advance of April,
That would work.
we could do that too.
Okay.
Then they wouldn't have any questions and.
So either way works.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, whatever greases the skids, and I use that term not derogatory, but whatever helps.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
Yep.
So you're gonna be at the next meeting too.
Yeah, we have one more meeting. Okay. Economic Development Loan Program, and I think you all received in the email and from John a report of the current status of loan.
I had a question from a person. Who do you contact to get potential this revolving loan? Christina, is that
Yes,
you?
yep, I'm the initial contact.
Okay.
And usually, mostly just like learn about their business and what they're
Yeah.
they're looking to do. And then
Okay.
when it comes to like sending in the paperwork, I connect them with Mississippi River County Commission as they're the loan administrator.
All right. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
John couldn't be here today, but, so I did email out this report and it's printed in your packet also. He did say that as of yesterday, when I met with him, they hadn't received the monthly payment from Borgans yet, but he said they're not in delinquent status. And he's like, it could be in the mail right now on our way to us. So he wasn't concerned about that. They had made a phone call to that though as a reminder. And then Christina had shared that 3 businesses have reached out to her about this loan and she has referred them to Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission. John said they have not reached out to him yet.
Can we, oh, we probably don't, you know who those people are? Those 3 businesses?
I can tell you that I think it's best. I can tell you like the kind of the industry that they're in.
Sure.
That would be probably most confidential. I'd like to talk afterwards. And
Okay.
There's the 3 industries, a furniture business. There was an Aronia berry business, Aronia berry juice business. And there's also a car dealership mechanic that is expanding the footprint and expanding for employees. So those are the 3.
What's a Gronia?
Brownie? It's a very high in antioxidant fruit. It's really sour.
Can you make wine out of it?
People do make wine out of it, and they always try to sell me those damn things, but it's so sour that you have to sugar the crap out of them. Otherwise, you're gonna it'll pucker you right
All the
out.
benefits go.
Well,
Is it something that you grow here or is it imported?
no, they're growing it here. It's actually Aronias are coming to this area instead of grapes. People are doing Aronias because they've grown a bush, and once they have a harvester, they can just go through and harvest it like a blueberry. So.
This particular juice business would add local honey to it and makes this.
Yeah, that's where you get rid of the sourness. Yeah. Cool. They really need to add grapes to it. Yes.
Ah,
I know who that is, so
okay.
he needs to buy a bunch of grape juice.
A little ad here. Okay. And that was all the general updates from John. Okay. Then we'll move on to department updates. Christina. And you also sent us a report.
I did. The first I want to address the first thing, which is just the update on the North Point development. Last month, Nate came and spoke about that, and he gave me an update to pass along to the committee too. And basically, we're right on track. You're right. The whole deal is continuing to be on track. I can have Cassie also speak about this too. But in regards to the county's timeline. So rest assured, they're going on track. They did break it up into 2 phases. North Point and the county successfully closed on the property last Friday, March 1st. And
Money.
yes,
Sweet.
yes. And North Point will now begin remediation and cleanup of the interior of the buildings. Phase 2, this will include the demolition and all other environmental remediation and construction of the project. And as Nate noted at the last Economic Development Committee meeting, they expect the city and North Point to have a sign agreement for the whole deal at the end of March. So they're on track. And of course, if you have any questions, you can ask Nate or you can ask me and we can get you the answers.
Very good news.
So when is the completion of the project, they said?
It has to be in 2025. I think it's fall of 25.
I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I don't know either.
Well, if you got enough money, you can do anything, but
I don't know, the River Point district in La Crosse is going up pretty fast.
Mhm.
And that's a big project, yeah.
Where is that?
Right.
They've
On
done
the
this.
local oil site.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
I thought the same thing, John. Like, I thought the other day, okay, wow, they
I
did a
suppose, I mean, like I say, if you got the money,
lot. Yeah.
Well, and they've done several, so this is not the first.
do they say anything about changing the road right there then or not?
No.
Because they're gonna have to do something with that intersection, I would think.
Well, with the demolition of the building, it will
Be in the road.
add to the height of it.
Mhm.
And then now just my regular economic development report for the month. In regards to the contract, we laid out some key priorities from January to March 31st. I've been hitting the key priorities in regards to the promotion of the economic development loan, the economic development strategies, and the summary of the strategies. We were able to get that through the county board and approved and adopted at the last meeting, if you may recall. So now we can move forward with implementing those plans. The tourism promotion initiative, this is the Vernon County Visitor Guide. At the end of my report, I'd like to show you the progress of the Vernon County Visitor Guide on the screen. It's pretty exciting to see where this is landing. And of course, that is on track to be printed and distributed by the beginning of April. Childcare Task Force, we would like to gather some more local data before we convene on this particular task force. And of course, when the new position of the Economic Development and Marketing Coordinator positions in identified, that will help gather that task force and that energy around childcare initiatives in the county. Grants. There are some grants that the Baroque Bathhouse Welcome Center. This is the old bathhouse we've been talking about. It's going to be a visitor center, public restrooms, community center, like a trailhead, like a bike filling station where you can fill up your bikes. They are basically doing a local fundraising deal, and just this week they received a $60,000 donation from the Bigley Foundation. So they are much more closer to their goal. They were trying to raise up to $242,000. They're about $70,000 away now from that goal. Once they reach that, then they can be able to apply for a CDI grant, which is through for $250,000. So they were trying to match that with private donations as well as the city's contribution, which was $238,000. So
the Bigley thing, is that the same thing that did the school?
No.
Okay.
it's that foundation. So
That sounds good.
So obviously, once all that kind of goes through, we'll have an amazing, right here in the county seat, be able to have a visitor center, be able to direct people where they need to go in the county, and it should help local businesses and, of course, the public restrooms for the farmers markets and the outdoor things that happen there. It's a pretty exciting project, and there's a lot of momentum and synergy around it right now. So
it's going to be at that permanent site right now.
Yeah.
There was once upon a time talk it was going to move.
Yeah, no.
Nope, they're going to restore the building, preserve a piece of history for the county and for the town. Seven Rivers has a new program to assist communities with producing their own strategic plan. With the work that I've done with various communities, I know that some communities do need a new strategic plan, just like as they move forward. And so I've passed along that opportunity. It's basically where Seven Rivers is going to come in and do a strategic plan for their particular community. And hopefully, some of these communities sign up for it because it's a really great opportunity to have something and direct them in the future, just like we're doing with the comprehensive plan for the county and just like we've done with the economic development strategy. Those are all very, very useful tools to be able to make your community or make your county move forward.
Those are two communities in Vernon County.
Well, no, they're going to pick, Seven Rivers picks two communities within their region.
Oh.
So it's somewhat competitive, but I know of 3 different communities in Vernon County that should apply for it, and helping shepherd them to the opportunity.
All right.
So hopefully one of them will get picked. Lodging tax, this is about the room tax dollars. This is an education piece where you go to the communities and hopefully they sign on to do it. It takes a lot of work. A lot of people have to be on the same page to do that. So I'm hoping that once this visitor guide comes out, it'll be one more piece of something that they can see, like, look what, if you did implement room tax in your community, you could also be able to create something like this to promote your community. And of course, I meet with Amy regularly. Some specific works. She's right there. Specific work that I'm working on, the Vernon County Broadband Group, just an update on that. We're waiting on the PSC to give us an updated map. And then once that map comes, then we can be able to really move forward with it. And that's going to be something where there will be a meeting with the ISPs, that's Vernon Communications, Hillsborough, telephone, et cetera. And then our broadband group will meet with UW Extension to learn more about how the next steps look. With the initial BEAD grant that started this whole thing for Vernon County Broadband Group, we can be able to produce a broadband plan. And in the future, we'll be meeting with Mississippi River Planning Commission to produce that plan by 2025. So we'll have one of those for the county for sure. The business development, I talked a little bit about that with the economic development loan. And so as you can see, like in the handout, which was the automobile dealership, mechanic shop expanding, Aronia Berry juice, and a furniture business. The advertising promotion of Vernon County, we were able to submit the grant. I'll let, for the branding grant, I'll let Amy talk about that, not steal her thunder. A lot of work and collaboration went into that. The Vernon County Visitor Guide, I'm going to show you here at the end. We have a conference in Monroe County for an economic development and tourism conference on March 21st and 22nd. That's up in Toma. That'll be great. The Vernon County website, there's a committee that's kind of working on revamping that website. There is a grant that the Vernon County Energy District just received. I helped write a letter of support and help line up some things there. It's called a Thrive Grant. And they received it out of all of Wisconsin, the Vernon County Energy District, and it's for them to help build capacity at the Vernon County Energy District. They are working obviously really hard with residents and businesses, but their next steps is they want to work with municipalities to do like an energy audit for municipalities and then be able to go, this is how you can do like some cost savings with using more sustainable energy ways. So I think that's right in line with, economic development and of course, with sustainability for our future here. There is a group, a nationwide national marketing campaign through Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. This is for them they're basically pushing out and saying, hey, Wisconsin's a great place to live and work, And so what they're trying to do is be able to get people to sign up and say like, yeah, I'll check out Wisconsin. And in each and every one of the counties, there is a talent ambassador. So basically, once they do this national search for this workforce, high targeting, high potential folks, they click on the Vernon County area, they would be connected with me or the ambassador that is representing this area, and then we can be able to like basically show them all the things why they should be living here. So it's just kind of showing that there's bigger work happening on the bigger level, and then it's like going to be funneled down to what we have going here. And I think a lot of the great things that we have going on here, with the rebranding and the visitor guide and the events that we have going on, of course, it really makes it really a great place to live. Lansing Bridge, as you know, that has been out and went out unexpectedly a couple of weeks ago before its time.
Do they know what happened? I heard something shifted, then I heard it was a structural failure. I know you guys are doing a lot of work to get it going again. Anybody know what the real deal is? Or was it just inspected and it was worked the whole time?
I'm not exactly. Max Seltzer's office has kind of been leading that effort. I know we requested FEMA emergency assistance.
You know what happened? I understand.
I just know it had shifted when they said close it down.
I think
Not
close to
not well. But of course, that's it's like the fast forward on them to fix it. It was already it was going to be fixed sometime this summer, but now they're trying to speed that up. But at this time, that doesn't look like that work is even going to start for another 2 months. So it's time for Seven Rivers is actually helping kind of coordinate a meeting with all those river towns that are obviously affected and the businesses and try to figure out economic recovery plan, for them. It's going to be quite a hard summer for them. Next month, we'll have a presentation with Hetty Brown from Cooley Cap to talk about workforce housing. We had a really nice meeting with her recently, and it was very informative, and I look forward to her coming and speaking to the committee. Now, I'd like to show you the progress on the Vernon County Visitor Guide. This is where we focused in on each and every one of the communities, and each of the communities were able to give feedback on what would you tell somebody who came to town, like what to do, what events. We focused on 3 different things. If you want to, I know there's a lot of reading and things like that, and I wish I could print it out, but it's just not quite there. But I wanted to show you the progress because it's pretty exciting. We're going to print 20,000 copies of these. 10,000 will stay in Vernon County to be at the Airbnbs and such, and at local businesses, and then 10,000 will actually be at like the interstates and other places like that where people can pick these things up. We focused on, having highlights of all the communities. This is Coon Valley and Chaseburg, all along the Mississippi, Goddard, Genoa, DeSoto, and this is all input from the various communities. So it's a very collaborative effort to put this together. A lot of the pictures are done from two local photographers, and there is some stock photos. But Hillsborough, we focused on outdoor recreation, our food scene, and our arts and culture. Those are the 3 things that have been identified as the reasons why people come to Vernon County. There's Westby and beautiful Jersey Valley. I'm not sure if we'll keep that one, but we'll see. We're able to group the Kickapoo communities together with Ontario, Lafarge, and Viola. Lafarge and Viola. And then Viroqua had a little bit bigger section, just having a lot of events and things like that happening. But once you read into Viroqua, it's not Viroqua centric. They say, come to Viroqua, grab a cup of coffee, go to the Kickapoo Valley Reserve. It extends out, and that was the intent. Farmers markets, all the farmers markets from Ontario to Chaseburg to Lafarge to Viroqua. A feature on all of our Vernon County parks: Sidey Hollow, Eusofia, Duck Egg, Yumjin. And this is where we focus on the great outdoors, everything from canoeing, kayaking, fishing, the mountain biking, like we talked about, and the biking. Golfing. I even mentioned the mini golf and the greenhouse, which is the Vadex River Country Club, Eusofia. Disc golf, camping, horse trails. Now we have, of course, we want to make sure we feature the stuff that's happening in the wintertime too, because tourism should not stop in the winter. And this is a section on like local hotspots and places to eat and farmers markets. And I mentioned this is the arts and culture kind of section. There's so many things going on in the county, from Stoddard Music in the Park, Larry Fest, Music in the Park in Lafarge, Dripples Music Festival, live in Viroqua. Norskadalen has music in the summer. Vernon Vineyards has music on Sundays. Sit and Pretty Pizza Farm, Dripples Music Garden outside of Hillsborough. I couldn't stop on the Vernon County bucket list. I kept adding and adding. There's a lot of good ones on there. From catch a baseball game in Coon Valley to find treasures at Crazy Frank's in Reedstown. And then the back is actually a map of Vernon County. So this will be, we thought we wanted just, instead of like having something in the middle, having something right there where people can just like grab it if they need to. It's not quite complete, as you could see. There's definitely some holes. There's some edits to be done. I'd like to add Kickapoo Valley Reserve on this, and I just received this like yesterday. But I think it's pretty exciting. And I know a lot of communities are very excited to get this in their hands.
But on the website too, it's going to be website.
So this is pretty much finalized already?
No, not quite yet. I just wanted to show you the progress, where it is.
Have you got a plug in there about the fair?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Because I was gonna say 35,000 people coming to that, so.
Yep.
And we got entertainer from Nashville coming this year.
Is that right?
Okay.
Very nice. I even have the dairy breakfast in there. So
Wild West days.
wild, juice, yes.
You have Wildcat Mountain, even though it isn't a Vernon County.
Yep, I do. Wildcat Mountain State
We
Park.
gave, didn't we give the fair a bunch of money? Did they build those buildings yet? Huh?
Agritourism, yeah, with the, there is,
We gave like 20,000.
there is agritourism, and that includes everything from the West Creamery and the Nordic Creamery and like Welling Farms, those those country stores.
Good.
We hope to get everything.
I think this is great, Christina.
Thank you, Katie.
That looks nice.
Thank you.
Any questions, anyone?
Oh, I did have one more thing. I just, right when I sat down, I received an invitation from Jenny Cooter from Dairyland Power, and there's going to be, you can have a viewing party, or you could basically watch the demolition of the plant.
The implosion?
The implosion. It's going to be on March 19th at 10 a.m. I can send you the email for the invitation. You have to RSVP. They're asking people to like park at one place and then drive in.
Yeah, stay away.
But so
Beans and backwards.
they'll also Facebook Live it.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Did everybody get that questionnaire for the comprehensive plan? Did y'all fill it out? Yeah.
There's flyers on the table.
Little promotion.
Did you send it out to everybody you knew?
Yes.
I said, do not delete.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it takes like 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes just to fill out the survey for the comprehensive plan, and everybody's input's very important. You can find it also on the website at vernoncounty.org.
Yeah.
Under Vernon County's comprehensive plan survey.
Mm-hmm.
And you have till April 15th to fill that in? Is
That's
that the
correct.
April 15th?
Yeah.
Got a month ago.
That's lots of money. We just want,
Okay.
they're asking, who is this Mitchell Real Estate?
It's on the list, but
It's in Westby. It's Westby.
It's in the new Westby Business Park. Lax Fabrication,
Lax.
LAX Fabrication,
And
metal fabricating. They basically moved their headquarters there, and they still are operating out of Spring Grove, Minnesota too. So
and that's Mitchell Real Estate? That's
that's the
That's
name
their-
they're going under.
that's the name for this particular loan.
In order to get a loan, they had to be
all right.
split, I believe.
I didn't know. Okay. Never. I have a question.
That was the question you had about it. Can they get two?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah. He has a different, I mean, and many businesses, larger businesses do this, where they'll have two different
Absolutely.
businesses, like a holding company, and then they have another one, so they can be able to work that money together. But
No.
It's fine.
That answer your question?
Mhm.
Okay, good. All right, any other for Christina? Otherwise, we'll move on to Hannah for Economic Development Educator for UW Extension.
Few things to hand out. And I apologize to Tom and Katie online. You guys did not receive this and what was sent out. So, but just my community development educator highlights for the last couple of months. Just to review, finished up the Start Strong business workshop series with the partnership with the Baroque Chamber, SBDC, and Cooley Cap. It was very successful. We had 20 participants that registered for it. And there was 4 sessions that delivered the basics how to develop your own business. So then we had last Thursday on the 29th, our leap day. We had a homegrown 3D session, which helped understand how to grow your own in the county and within the communities in Vernon County, entrepreneurship, and support it for growing your economic development as well within your communities. And from that, we were able to have this wonderful little roadmap that was developed for it that we can use in comp planning. We can use it here in economic development. And then the communities are also able to utilize it for their own as well. And I can pass this around too. And it just talks about the different things that communities are seeing and needing to help support their entrepreneurial ecosystems, and where the county might fit in with that, as well as how the economic development coordinator would, or education that I can provide through my role as the county educator for community development.
Those?
I do. I can send that out. So, and then there's a little write-up for it too.
Do you keep an eye out for businesses that are going out of business? See what were the reasons for it? The reason is I'm really mournful about Quillen's grocery store leaving. They're closed March 15th or 16th. And, you know, that takes one major grocery source away from us. It leaves us Walmart and the food co-op, Hansel's. But yeah, I just went up to Hanson's in the Westby Meat Locker, but you know, that's an opportunity. I don't know if you've talked to them or.
Well, I talked to them. I knew that they were going to go out of business.
It's been obvious for a while.
Yeah, it's been obvious for a while. They had some mechanical failures.
Yeah.
More expensive to keep it going than it was, and I don't know the status of what's looking to move in there.
Have you talked to Bill Schultz about it?
No, I didn't know. I've talked to Nate Torres and from the county or from the city.
Yeah, Bill owns it.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought we need to do something.
Yes, some could definitely be an opportunity. I did hear that there's an Aldi that's going to be moving in on the grocery, you know, at the Shopco on the south side of La Crosse.
And there was one that just opened in Sparta. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is good. Yeah, really good.
And then a new program that will be coming to Vernon County this summer will be Wisconsin Rev. So we're adopting the Minnesota and several other states have this as well. It helps to grow thriving communities. So that last flyer that you can see at the end would be the Wisconsin Rev information. And that is the flyer that is distributed statewide that I was on the committee to help design for it. So we're very excited about this program that's coming in, and where Vernon County is slated to have at least one pilot community. So I'm in talks with various communities that meet the criteria to go through with this and have infrastructure to support building their local economies and supporting the capacity for entrepreneurs in their area.
I guess my own feedback kind of would be when you talk to the people that built the program, you know, when you're in Madison, 15,000 or 1,500, 2,000 people sounds like a dwarf. But here, the people that really need help are 200, 700, 900, 1,200.
Yep.
I mean, Westby's barely 2,000 and declining, and they're doing fine as is local. But so you really want to move the needle and to help people that need help.
So that's why this encompasses the size amounts of about 1,500 to 10,000. is what we look at for what we consider a rural community in that way. And we can get very creative with that by including the school district lines as well, which then offers that encompassing areas for those smaller communities and townships. So that's really the scope that I'm looking at when addressing it here in Vernon County. It's not
Well, you got
just,
some flexibility because you can get a whole
Mhm.
district.
yep. And I've already pulled the maps for the school district lines and where they look and ran the numbers for them. So. And then just looking ahead, the Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club starts, I think it's next week on the 13th. So that'll be our first one. It'll be once a month, going from now until whenever. So I have topics through 2025 planned, and those are all to help support entrepreneurs in the area, inventors in the area, really be able to hone in and expand what their current operations are, or have just that extra confidence and support to take that step and formalize their business. So we do get a regional broadband workshop here in April, on April 16th, ironically the same day as the county board meeting, but that will be held at the sheriff's department, so in the training room. And then just looking at planning out some fall workshops for the business workshop series, because we had such a good turnout with it. And I've presented to 2 different communities now, and both are interested in hosting one. So looking to see where it lands next, and I'll have more information hopefully in the next couple of weeks on that, so I can present next month for it.
Thank you.
And I was just gonna
agenda
add,
item.
because I don't think you mentioned it, but I'm on the Westby referral group, and Hannah had came to talk to our group yesterday. And I think it is huge to have this community outreach to as many business owners as possible. She was also at the Poon Valley Business Association. And I think it's super hard to get people to come to meetings that we schedule. And so I love that we are doing some outreach. Christina, too, you've been great at communicating with the banks, the different programs. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate that approach from both of you of getting out to the communities to try and get the word out that we are here to help them.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Mhm. I can.
Sure.
And then one of the things that came out of the homegrown was the concept that we potentially look at having a subcommittee in economic development that would help specifically look at expanding entrepreneurship. So it would be something that we're wanting to have a discussion on next month at the April meeting. And it would be a lot of the same bodies that came to our homegrown would be ones that would continue to help work through the action item for this.
Yeah, basically we developed
Mhm.
4 actionable items from the discussion during the day, and Charlie was there too, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but one thing that we looked at exploring was how the county can help support any of those actionable items, and I think it's definitely worth a discussion here at this committee as far as what level of support we can reasonably provide.
So you can bring those for
Yep.
Yeah.
Next
month.
month's meeting.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, that'll be fine.
And I'll make sure that everyone gets a copy of this plan here, because they are identified in it, and I'll specifically call them out. But they're on the second page in this little area right here, these little 4 bullets.
Okay.
So, and we can go,
look for those, had you told it bad.
yeah. So, well, I did hand you guys a lot of stuff, so didn't want to overwhelm you.
Okay.
Um,
Well, we're easily overwhelmed.
So, but I'll make sure this is included and you guys get this out so you can have time to review it before. And then if you have any other questions too, but I'll specifically go over the details in which we decided those action items. And then we can see what, if anything, the committee would like to do or how they view involvement going forward. So.
All right. Any other questions for Hannah? Not, we'll move on. Amy? You are it. On.
Okay, so first, just an update on the Economic Development Marketing Coordinator position. The General Government Committee did approve that job description last month, and so the position was posted. We have received eight applications and resumes for that position. We have marked off some time next Thursday afternoon and all day Friday to schedule interviews. And I anticipate just having reviewed all the resumes completely and HRs and I'm reviewing those as well. I anticipate we'll be interviewing at least 4 applicants who meet the skills and experience that we're looking for. At the last meeting, it was discussed around would someone from the Economic Development Committee be invited to sit in on those interviews? And Cassie had explained that while it's not common practice to bring a committee member in if it's not a department head interview, right, which this wouldn't be. Cassie and I have talked more about that and considering this is a unique situation in that this position has been part of the county in a contracted way since 2018, that we would like to invite preferably one of the board supervisors who sits on this committee to join these interviews if you're able to. Now you'd have to be able to make every one of them. And again, we have time scheduled next Thursday afternoon and Friday, hopefully to knock them all out. So if there's any interest, I mean, if not, it will be myself, Cassie, and Trisha or HR generalist in on the interviews.
That's 14th to 15th.
You have an interest?
Yeah, I'd love to be on there. We have land and water in the morning. Meeting.
Thursday afternoon, we're hoping to schedule one of them between 1 and 3, maybe 2 we could get. I would say it's going to be about an hour per interview. And then Friday from 9 a.m. throughout the day. If we were to end up interviewing more, we may need to trickle into the early part of the following week, but hopefully not.
So you two, and did you want 1 or 2 people from the committee, or don't you care?
No, you could represent us, Rod. I think we would be happy.
It's nice to have an odd number.
Yeah.
2 against 2 is not.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I am odd, yeah.
Typically, when we have an HR representative there, they're not, I wouldn't say it's not usually like a vote or anything like that. It's more for guidance or, to help you work through that process. But, yeah.
I mean, the time we've done this quite a bit. I mean, we did it at veterans and other roles, and it's always quite productive. And rarely have we had a big disagreement. So. Yeah, looking forward to it. Glad
so if that's okay with the committee, we'll have Rod represent us next week. Looks like yes. Okay, online. You're in agreement?
Unless Kate wants to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tom. All right.
And then just some updates. So we released the 2024 Community Development Grant Program in February. And so far we've received 2 applications from municipalities, lots of inquiries about them. One township, and I said I would run this past the committee for consideration. They're looking at a project that, because of their lack of funding, would take over 2 years. So they would submit an application, community development, each year, this year and next year if we have the program, but then do phase 1 of it, this first year, phase 2 next year. And I had said, what if you aren't selected for funding in 2025, or what if we aren't able to have this program? That would be a concern. And they had said, well, then they would look for a separate, they're debt free. We could look for a line of like a loan, or we would look for other funding. And then I did remind them, hey, if you are awarded for 2024, you do have until June 2025 to complete it. So potentially you could already split your expenses up over 2 fiscal years. So that was new to them, but I just want to open this up to, do we want to stick with our project needs to be completed within a year? Or would we consider a 2-year project?
It would have doubled the money for the 2-year, or is it just, same?
They would have to apply this year for the first 10,000 and then apply next year for the next 10,000.
Amy, did you say they're looking at it in 2 different phases?
So what they want to do is install a well for their town hall and town shop.
So they're gonna drill the hole 1 year and they're gonna put the pump in the next year.
Well, so contingent on same project. I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, because the hole will be there.
Yeah, it's something, something like that. You gotta do something with it, yeah. But I mean, even if it wasn't that, I mean, as long as it's going to the same project over a 2-year time period, that should be fine.
Yeah, because the first 10,000, can you get a hole drilled for 10,000?
Remember, they
have to match.
money.
Okay.
Yes.
Then they can.
It depends on how deep it is.
Yes.
Wait, you know, it's-
My only thoughts to consider would just be, one, what if they can't get the second part of the funding, right? And then we're funding a half completed project this year. And then 2, is this something we want to open up? You do it for one municipality, and is this something that we're going to consider for the rest?
Yeah.
Well, maybe their project is just drilling a hole this year and we can decide if that's worth it or not.
Right, like they'll still have to go through the.
And then next year they can say, we'd like to put a well in that hole. And we can decide.
It makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, for us too. I mean, we're not, we fund this through Ho-Chunk. There's no guarantee that we are going to receive the Ho-Chunk funding.
Exactly. That's, I mean, I don't know if you want to drill a hole just to,
Yeah.
And you'll have to cap it because you don't have a well in it, because
Yeah.
DNR will get
Yeah,
after
yeah.
it.
Then you got to fill with cement to get to that.
Put a bunch of Portland down that hole.
I think they basically, like, if we wouldn't consider it at all, they're not going to apply for that this year. They'll do a Plan B project. But if it's something that would be considered, should they be, the review committee move them on to award.
So they have the matching funds approved already or not?
They would have the matching funds for this year to complete phase 1, and then 2025 fiscal year, they would have the matching funds.
I think we could do it. Just have to tell them that we can't guarantee you're going to get it.
right.
Which
And it's up to you. I mean,
Can't guarantee
or you could go
they're gonna
Plan
get
B and
the
be
first
assured that if you get it, you can do it. That's what I would say.
They're
And
competitive.
that would relieve us from saying that we'll give you a 2-year project, because that's not in what we.
Or even a 1 year, it depends on what the other projects are that are coming forward.
That's my opinion.
And if they do choose to submit, I will definitely motivate them. Like, it would be great if you did phase 1 in fall of this year and phase 2 in spring of next year, and work, your funds that way. But so it's not a flat out rejection is what I'm hearing from the committee, but it would still be up to the review committee to determine if
Right,
they're a competitive project.
right. Depends on what the others submit.
Okay, got it. So that's an update with the 2024, the 2023 community development grant projects. They are all need to be completed by June 15th. So Amanda did send an email reminder out to everybody, in the Village of Coon Valley enthusiastically responded back that they received all their windows that they're installing in their village hall there, so that it's not a strategy and they can host more community meetings. So I don't have any doubt. I haven't heard from anyone that they're not going to hit that deadline or have completed their projects already. That's good news. As Christina had mentioned, we did submit the branding grant to the Rural Business Development Grant Program through the USDA. We did have a meeting with the grant, a contact there. Her name is Kristen, also at the USDA, who did tell us, hey, you could show us that you have 3 quotes from a marketing firm to produce the visual assets for the brand, but your application is going to be a lot stronger if you actually have a selected firm. It just shows we're ready to go, right, if we get that
Okay.
funding. So we pivoted very quickly and released an RFP for the marketing, for graphic design and branding services for the visual assets of the brand. We had 14 proposals submitted from all over the US, right?
Wow.
And so we really narrowed those down on most advantageous to the county would be someone local.